All right, folks. I am super excited today to have Greg Cantori with Little Deeds with me. And Greg has some insights on grab bars that I've never heard anywhere else. And I wanted to make sure that we share these insights with you all. But before we do that, Greg, let's just get to know you real quick and then let's jump into a discussion.
It's so great to be here, Steve. Thanks for having me. And very briefly, nonprofits have been my absolute lifeblood since my beginning of my career. I ran a homeless agency where we did homelessness to home ownership, where we actually helped people who were homeless actually purchase a home through our nonprofit in Baltimore, and did that for 7 incredible years, where half my staff was actually formerly homeless, and learned a lot about housing, a lot about the barriers, all about the stigmas and did that. And then I moved on to heading up a foundation called the Knot Foundation. So I had that great job of giving away money every day, um, almost $5 million a year. And I had my own discretionary account, so I was able to give away $60,000 discretionary funds. Absolutely amazing. Again, the whole Baltimore, Annapolis, Western Maryland region. It was just a phenomenal experience to do that. What a privilege. What a privilege to work for a foundation. And then I moved on to taking the helm of Maryland Nonprofits. And that's the association of all the nonprofits in the state of Maryland. We had 3,500 nonprofit members. You name a nonprofit, it was probably a member of what we did. And our job was to help them move towards excellence, because nonprofits exist by their reputation. And if you don't have a great reputation, no one's going to donate to you. If you don't feel like it's ethically and uh, everything about it operationally excellent, you just won't donate. So we did that, and then after I retired from that, I started Little Deeds. And Little Deeds has the heart, that's just why it's on there, of a nonprofit built in to our mission, our for-profit mission of helping people age in place successfully, and helping people with disabilities. And we do a lot of work with nonprofits such as Meals on Wheels, Banner Neighborhoods, Rebuilding Together, Partners in Care. I mean, it just goes on and on, these great nonprofits that we work with. So that's a quick snapshot.
Yeah, and what I like about your, personal vision with your organization Little Deeds is you really pay attention to affordability. Is that which is such a need out there, and I really appreciate that. And combining two things, creating safe and accessible homes, and with an attention to affordability. But thanks for your service. This is great. But today, what I'm psyched to talk to you about is you shared something with me briefly about and I haven't heard the the whole conversation yet, which so is comparing how we use seatbelts to grab bars in our bathroom. And I thought that concept is brilliant. So I'd love to dive deeper into to this with you.
Yeah, Steve. So it hit me one day. I was thinking about Ralph Nader and his amazing book, "Unsafe at Any Speed," and I realized that he came to a conclusion that all these people were crashing left and right in these cars. They were literally flying out of the cars because they didn't have seat belts. The doors were literally flying off the cars too, because they didn't have proper locks on the doors. The dashboards were made out of hard plastic instead of the soft plastic we have now, and they didn't even have tempered glass. So when you went through the window, which you would because there was no seatbelt, you were cut up by the glass. And he said this is outrageous. And what the industry was doing at the time was blaming the drivers. They were saying that the drivers need more education. They're not driving carefully enough. That's why the crashes are so horrific. And he said, no, systemically, we have dangerous cars. And that's what hit me, is that we systemically have dangerous homes. And that's the whole problem. We accept the fact that our fall rate, I don't know if everyone knows this, but our fall rate is dramatically increasing. The last 22 years, it looks like this. It's been going up, up, up,
Hmm.
up. And What's also interesting is that not only are our number and rate of falls increasing, there's a disparity between racial groups. So whites actually fall. This is one of the very few places where whites do poorly than minorities. Whites fall at a greater rate than minorities. And there's a lot of, that's a whole nother discussion to find out why, but there's a fascinating reason why that happens.
Huh.
But going back to the whole point is that here we are, living in homes, all of us, 97% of them are not accessible, and we accept the fact that that's just your fault that you fell. You were
It
drinking too much. You were over medicated. You weren't exercising enough. But the truth is, that's true. Just like a driver might be speeding, but we don't have safety devices in our homes that we should have. The number of people who die from falls is about the same as the number of people who die in car crashes.
hmm.
Just to give
Man,
you an idea.
I love the parallels here,
Yeah.
and I love how, just like pre-Ralph Nader, that the auto manufacturers are just blaming the drivers. And what do? We blame it on aging, or, oh, the you're just not strong enough. And but if we redesign and we rethink our homes the way that we do our cars now, uh, this is brilliant.
Absolutely true. And it's not just age based. I mean, of course, the older people do fall more often, but the fact is that young people do as well. They may have had a physical issue going on that makes them fall at some place of the house. And the three most likely places, the places that we need to fix are, of course, the bathroom. That's where the grab bars are. The kitchen. The kitchen is a much more dangerous place than people realize. Um, and one example being, this is a great example with the cars. Cars come out with the bells and whistles. They were talking about all the new gadgets on there, and you can, program this and program that. And that's true with our microwaves and our ovens and our stoves, right? They all have digital everything, but they don't have an automatic stove shut off. If that isn't that, I mean, the most basic thing is that fire occurs on the stove. Why isn't the stove shut off automatically? It's a device that costs $50 that'll do that, but they won't put it in there. No stove
Yeah.
shut off
And,
automatic, right?
and the hilarious thing on that one is that all of like our radios, our sound devices have an automatic shut off, and you just press a button, and the sound goes again, and there's absolutely no safety element to that.
None,
And so,
none.
man, you're really making me look at this whole landscape from a different lens, and I love it.
Mhm.
And doing talking a little bit about the driving and home comparison, an interesting study that we talked about a year ago was how older adults are driving in older cars, and their injuries that they're sustaining are much greater if they are in an accident. But the amazing combination is an older adult driving in a 2025 or late model car that has all the tech and the safety features. Every year our safety is getting better and better in our cars, yet we're still in the Stone Ages when it comes to thinking about adapting our homes.
That's so true, Steve. Yeah, that aha moment really hit me because, of course, this is what we do every day is retrofitting houses. And it's as if you were given, again, a car without seat belts, without airbags, without, right? And oh, let's put a seat belt in it. Let's put an airbag in it retroactively. And that's what we do right now. And we wait for the accident. Here's the other crazy thing. It's like you crash the car. Oh, I guess it needs a seat belt. Let's put a seat belt in it.
No,
It's like, no, no. And, and again, these are things that are there quietly doing their work. 99% of the time are never needed, but when they are, it's life-saving. A $150 grab bar versus a $150,000 hip.
yep,
The economics just don't fit. And that's why the analogy is very powerful, and the resistance from the industry is the analogy will be very powerful too. You can imagine if we were to say that we need to mandate grab bars in every single home without exception. Just like we don't say, oh, some cars can have seat belts, right? Without exception. So if we were to do that, can you imagine the screaming that we're going to hear from the remodeling industry, the home building industry, on that? It says that's going to increase the cost of the house. Or the real estate agent industry, which will be that looks horrible. We cannot sell houses because those things look institutional. Without the knowledge of the fact that we know in our industry that grab bars can be elegant, beautiful. I call them jewelry for the bathroom.
Hmm.
Beautiful things. They can have shelves, they can have towel warmers, they can have LED lighting built into them. They're awesome. And if you do it right, it can look beautiful. So the style, the cost, then the resistance. So
And
we have a big mountain to climb. But the first thing is to start ringing the bell and say, guys, there's something really broken here. Literally your hip.
hmm. Yeah, and I like starting with a grab bar. I mean, obviously, a lot of times when we're talking about safe and accessible homes and universal design, it can be accessible entryways and things like that. And these are all important too. But if an individual is invites a qualified, trained person into their home and says, look, I'm going to pull the trigger. I'm going to get seat belts for my bathroom and get a grab bar. They can start having a conversation that can make their home more livable, safe, accessible, and increase the resale value as well.
That's right. And see, there is a second part. Grab bars, absolutely. There's a second part, and it's handrails that are missing from this equation. And handrails, to me, are sort of like the anti-lock brakes of the cars. It's as if we had no
This
anti-lock
is
brakes,
great.
right? Because you're going to stop yourself going down the stairs. So here's the problem. The IRC, the International Residential Code, only requires handrails on three or more steps. But guess where most of the falls are occurring?
The
One,
last
two, and
step.
three. And in
Yeah.
fact, it's the one step, the single step, and that's why the title of this unsafe at every step is so important. That single step is far more dangerous than a flight of stairs because they hit you by accident. You're not ready for them. You step out the front door, there's a single step, you go down.
Hmm.
There's a living room transition between the dining room. A lot of times there's a step there as well. You go down. Those things are total surprises. Whereas a flight of stairs, all of us usually say, oh, in our heads, there's a flight of stairs. I better hold on and go down.
Hmm.
But that single step is the one that's causing the broken arms, the broken kneecaps, and other injuries and concussions. It's single step. So the rule would be that we need to actually say a handrail on every step, a grab bar in every shower, no exceptions. Absolutely no exceptions.
Yeah, what a great world it would be if we could implement those changes. And yeah, I agree. Is that wouldn't it be great if we could create a movement where people just voluntarily realized that this is what we need to do, and but obviously it would be cool if there was some way to create a mandate. And as you were talking about the mandates, and I think about things like the GF5 plugs that are at a sink. And there are many mandates in a home that nobody bats an eye at because they save our home from catching on fire, shorting a circuit. But what's more important than our own health and well-being and falling in a shower is or a bathtub is a horrible injury.
It is, and there's another aspect to that too. Is like all bathroom doors should open outwards into away from the bathroom because so many people who do fall in small bathrooms, they will block the doorway with their feet, and
Mm,
the EMS or the loved one can't get to them. I've had several clients where that has happened. It's a terror beyond belief to not be able to get to your loved one who has fallen in a bathroom. And you hear them moaning and groaning. There's blood on the floor. This literally happened, and you can't get that door open. And it takes an EMS to come in and remove the door for you to get to your husband or wife. That's just not. So that's another example of poor design. But I think a lot of this is because we think of these things as for old people or people with disabilities, not universal. Whereas GFI is a great example. that's universal. Anyone can get shocked, right?
Solar panels on your house, eco-friendly hot water heaters, like all of these things. And this is one of the big challenges that we face. It's this stigma attached to um, that, oh, that's just for other people, not for me. And we need to recognize that a accessible home makes it a lot easier to roll your baby stroller in without waking up your child or have that big appliance delivered. But if
Mhm.
someday you have a mobility issue, whether it be temporary or permanent, you're also going to get in and out. And an accident or an injury or just somebody that ran a marathon and now they're getting into the shower and having the benefit of that strong uh, um, uh, grab bar is huge.
You're so right, and that's such a great example. There's an organization, another nonprofit called 880 Cities, and what that means is that the litmus test of a perfect city is one where an 8-year-old and an 80-year-old can navigate safely without any hindrances. And it's called 880 Cities, and I love the concept. And we should also hold that to our homes. If an 8-year-old and an 80-year-old can exit, enter, move around the home and feel safe and secure, that's so fantastic. And that's a great litmus test to hold to the way we live. 880.
I love this, man. I'm learning so much today from this conversation. Greg, this has been amazing. I can't wait to have you back on, and I'm gonna try to see if I can get these 880 cities folks on because what a brilliant concept. Um, I'll put all your contact info in the links below, but before we wrap things up today, anything that you haven't shared that you'd like to share on this conversation with the community?
I very much what I started off with again, a grab bar in every shower, a handrail in every step, no exceptions, no exceptions. If you start thinking that way, and you will see the world differently like we do now, which is through that lens of it needs to be universally designed into our homes and demand it. When you used to see it missing, you need to demand that this needs to change.
I think this can happen, and I really am. Thank you for sharing this insight. It's gonna help me when I'm out there talking to folks, and then I also need to practice what I'm preaching. Need to take a look at this place that I'm in right now and make sure that it lives up to that standard as well.
We'll be right
Thank,
over, Steve.
yeah,
A
thanks so
little
much,
breathe.
Greg, and
Thank
really
you.
look forward to our next conversation.
Thanks so much, Steve. It was really wonderful.